Hey, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I am going to give you some pointers and tips on how to choose your website platform. I'm going to cover the most popular website platforms today, the features and benefits that each platform has to offer, and then how to choose the right platform for your needs. So the popular website platforms that I'm going to cover in this video are WordPress, Squarespace, Wix, Showit, and I'm briefly going to mention Shopify, but I'm not going to go into too much detail about it because Shopify is different than the rest of the platforms on this list. So these platforms that I mentioned are typically the most common and the most popular platforms, and almost all of them are great for service-based businesses, for coaches, course creators, except for Shopify, which is why I won't go too much in depth into it because I specialize in working with service providers, coaches, course creators, influencers, bloggers, industries like that, not really with e-commerce businesses, which is what Shopify is best for. It is best if you're selling a large volume of digital or physical products, and it's not really suited for service providers. So unless you have an online store, Shopify is not really for you, and I'm not going to go into too much depth into it. So we're going to start with WordPress because WordPress is one of the most popular platforms. It is used by over 43% of all websites on the internet. And it started out as a blogging platform, so one of the biggest benefits of WordPress is that it has awesome blogging and content publishing capabilities. It is also a very powerful platform that can create any type of website thanks to plugins. There are also plenty of themes to choose from, both free and paid, and it has a very large community, which means there are plenty of blogs and websites that specialize in covering everything about WordPress, from theme and plugin reviews to specific tutorials on how to achieve certain things in WordPress. Now, I have to mention that straight out of the box, WordPress is pretty bare bones. It comes with a theme, and you need a plugin for even the most basic functionality, such as contact forms. And customization options are pretty limited in free themes, and they can also be quite overwhelming in a premium theme. Another thing that you have to bear in mind with WordPress is that it needs a hosting platform, which can range from very cheap and very bad to very expensive but very good. And my biggest recommendation is that if you decide to go with WordPress, don't cheapen out on hosting, because the more you pay for hosting, the better results you will have for your website. That's a whole separate video topic that I won't get into too much today, but just know that if you go for the cheapest option possible, you will probably end up with a slow website, and there are other security risks that you're exposing your website to if you go with a cheap host. If you pay a little more for a host, then chances are you won't have to deal with your website slowing down unless you go overboard with plugins. But again, a whole topic for a whole nother video. However, I just wanted to mention that if you do decide to go with WordPress, you will need separate hosting. There's also a hosted version of WordPress called WordPress.com. And that platform is more similar to other platforms that I'm going to cover in this video, such as Squarespace and Wix. However, it is also very limited in terms of what you can actually do on that website, more so than Squarespace, Wix, and Showit. And with WordPress, if you need any kind of advanced stuff, you will need to hire a developer or have somebody on your team already who can handle more complex website builds. So that is something to keep in mind with WordPress. Another thing that I want to make sure that you keep in mind when it comes to WordPress is that you're responsible essentially for making sure that your website is up to date, backed up, and secured from latest cybersecurity attacks or threats. And that's because, given how popular WordPress is, it's a pretty common target for website hackers. And if you have outdated plugins or even outdated themes, then you expose your website to cybersecurity attacks and threats. If you do decide to go this route, that is something to keep in mind. You will need a security plugin, and you will need to make sure to regularly update not just WordPress itself, but also your theme and any plugins that you are using on your website. WordPress is perfect for all kinds of websites that need advanced and high-tech features. It can be a little bit of an overkill for a simple website. That's not to say that you can't use it. I know plenty of simple websites that are built with WordPress. However, I would say that it's an overkill given the upkeep that you need to keep in mind and keep track of when you're using WordPress. It is perfect for service-based, information-based, and coaching businesses, and it can also be a great choice for online stores, course platforms, directories, because like I said before, there is a plugin to literally turn your website into any kind of website that you can possibly imagine. It's also a great choice for larger, more established businesses who can hire a developer on demand or can have somebody on the team who's going to take care of the security updates, the backups, and all of that, so that you can focus on running your business instead of worrying about the back-end stuff yourself. Of course, there's always an option of choosing a managed WordPress host, in which case a lot of those backend updates and security concerns will be taken care of for you by the hosting company. However, do expect to pay a significantly higher price for that type of hosting. As far as pricing goes, WordPress itself is free, and that is why many people recommend it. However, you still need to pay for a hosting company for a hosting plan. And with that, you have to be careful with which company you're signing up for and make sure to read the pricing page very carefully, because it's quite common that a lot of the hosting companies will offer you a significantly lower price for your first year, and then that price will jump up in price when it's time to renew. For example, you could be signing up for a host that is promising you $4.99 for a month for your first year, and then when it's time to renew, you'll be paying something like $15 or $20 a month. So that is something to keep in mind. Other than that, like I said, there are plenty of free themes and free plugins in the directory that you can choose from. However, a lot of these themes limit the options on the free version, so eventually they ask you to upgrade to a paid version of the theme to unlock some customization features or more advanced features. And themes can range anywhere from $40 to $70 all the way up to a couple of $100. And the same thing applies to plugins. A lot of them are free and give you the most basic functionality, and then you have to upgrade for more advanced features. And again, plugins range in price from $20, $30 one-time payment to a couple of $100 yearly payment and stuff like that. So that is something to keep in mind if you're going to go with WordPress. Now let's talk about Squarespace. So Squarespace launched in 2004 and it is only used on 2.1 of all websites online. However, Squarespace started out as a platform to easily build a personal website without having to write any code while focusing on style and design. And it quickly became an easy-to-use website builders for small and medium-sized businesses. One of the main advantages of Squarespace is the drag and drop functionality, and it is an all-in-one platform, which means you can sell your services, you can have a blog, you can send email marketing newsletters, you can grow your list with email opt-in forms, you can schedule appointments, you can even host courses, all within Squarespace. However, some of the features mentioned here, like the ability to schedule appointments and host courses, will cost you more, so will incur an additional fee on top of your website fee that you're paying to Squarespace. Squarespace also takes care of every aspect of your website management. So you don't have to worry about updates, you don't have to worry about backups. Squarespace does all of that behind the scenes for you. And you also don't need to hire a developer or have one on hand, as there is no need for coding on Squarespace. Squarespace does come with free templates, and there are also lots of premium template shops owned by independent Squarespace designers if you want a more custom look for your website. Now, the downside of Squarespace is that some of its features are limited when compared to more specialized platform. For example, Squarespace does offer email marketing, however, it is very simplistic in its nature, and while you can create an automated sequence, it only allows for one email in that sequence. So every time you want to add another automated email, you have to create another sequence, so to speak. And segmentation options are not as robust. So using a dedicated platform like MailerLite or ConvertKit or even Flowdesk, you'll get a lot more robust features for your email campaigns than what Squarespace Campaigns has to offer. Similar thing applies to courses as well. While you can host courses on Squarespace, that is an additional fee. However, having said that, for most beginners, Squarespace does fit the bill perfectly, and it makes it super easy to get your website up and running. I would say Squarespace is perfect for most business owners who want an easy way to build a website without having to learn how to code. It's a good fit for service-based businesses, content creators, coaches, and course creators, and most small and medium-sized businesses. Now, as far as pricing goes, plans start at $20 per month for a personal website and then $28 a month for business websites. And there is no need to pay separately for hosting as it's included with Squarespace, and there is a 14-day free trial available. There is a way to get a slightly longer trial, and that is by purchasing a premium template from one of the independent template shops that I mentioned earlier, like mine, shameless plug. But if you do buy a template from me for Squarespace, then you get access to a 12-month trial, which is plenty of time to build your website. Now let's talk about Wix. Wix shares a lot of similarities with Squarespace in terms of features. It's used on 2.5% of all websites online, and similarly to Squarespace, it offers a drag and drop functionality. It's also a hosted platform, so you don't need to pay separately for a hosting plan. Now, Squarespace comes with a large selection of templates that you can use as a starting point for your design. And similarly to Squarespace, you can accept online payments, book appointments, sell your services. And since it uses a drag and drop visual editor, there is no need to know how to code or to hire a developer to code the website for you. However, similarly to Squarespace, some of the features are more robust when you use a dedicated platform for a specific purpose. So if you want to use email marketing, you'll get better results with using something like Flowdesk or ConvertKit than with using Wix. And the same thing applies for courses and appointment scheduling and things like that. And I do want to mention that the visual editor that Wix uses has a bit of a learning curve. Keep that in mind if you decide to use Wix for your website. Now, for most beginners, Wix makes it super easy to get your website up and running. It's a great fit for service-based businesses, coaches and consultants, small and medium-sized businesses. Plans start at $17 a month for the most basic website and $29 per month for a more advanced website with more storage space and basic marketing suite, the ability to accept payments and basic e-commerce. So that is what you will need if you decide to sign up for Wix. And like with Squarespace, you don't need to pay for separate hosting. There is a free trial available, and Wix also has a free plan, but you'll have Wix branding on your website and use a subdomain. So your website will look something like yourwebsite.wix.com instead of yourwebsite.com. Now let's talk about Showit. Now, Showit is pretty different from other platforms on this list. It does have a drag and drop editor on the front end, but it also includes WordPress on the back end for a more robust blogging platform. It is a hosted platform that has the most flexibility in terms of creativity and design. And what I mean by that is platforms like Wix and Squarespace and even page builders that are common plugins with WordPress like Elementor, Beaver Builder, Divi, Brex, what have you. They all use a grid system to keep your design consistent and to basically align elements that you place on your page to a grid, which makes sure that your designs are visually appealing, and it also gives you more precision over the way you add elements to a page. With Showit, there is no grid. You are completely free to place elements however you want on your website. So it is the most flexible platform out there. However, the site management with Showit is a little bit complicated because it integrates with WordPress for your blog. So essentially, when you want to go to make any sort of edits on your website, you'll log into Showit and you'll make all the edits there. But if you want to write a blog post, you'll have to log in separately to WordPress to be able to actually publish a new blog post. So that is something to keep in mind. On another note, Showit also doesn't have built-in email forms and no way of selling anything on your website. Whereas with WordPress, Wix, Squarespace, you can sell products directly on your website. So if you have a few digital products that you want to sell, you can easily do that with the other three platforms. Whereas with Showit, you will need to integrate with something like Shopify or PayHip or Thrivecart or something like that, or any checkout platform that allows you to sell things. You will have to integrate with Showit to be able to sell digital downloads, products, courses, and things like that. I would say that Showit is perfect for creatives, photographers, and service providers who want unlimited design possibilities and who really want to achieve that very unique look for their website. And as with Squarespace and Wix, Showit does have free templates that you can choose from, but they also have premium templates from other designers that you can buy directly off of their marketplace. And there are tons of independent template shops that specialize in designing Showit templates where you can find more unique and more premium templates. And out of all of these platforms, I would say Showit offers the most expensive templates out there. So keep that in mind if you decide to use Showit. Now, as far as pricing for Showit goes, plans start at $27 per month for a simple website with no blog, and then $34 per month for websites with a basic blog. Again, you don't need to pay for a separate hosting as it's included with Showit, and you do get a 14-day free trial to try out the platform and see if it works for you. So now that we've covered all of these platforms, let's talk about how to actually choose the one that is best for you. Now, the first thing I want to mention and get out of the way is that all of the platforms that I've mentioned above share a lot of similarities, and you can create a website that showcases your services and your coaching packages and all of them, and you can optimize your website for SEO on all of them. And of course, all of these platforms also allow you to have a blog. All of the features that you would need in a service provider or a coaching website are there. Except with Showit, as you have to integrate with outside platforms for things like scheduling and payments, but we'll get to that in a minute. So when you go to choose your website platform, there are a few things that you need to keep in mind. First of all, your budget, and you need to know how much you're willing to spend on your website. Then you need to think about your time, because if you don't have the time to update and manage your website, you're going to have a very hard time keeping it secure and making sure that nothing happens to it. And then also keep in mind your lifestyle. Are you in a season of life, in a season of your business where you can handle something more complex and demanding like WordPress or even Wix? Or do you want something that's easy to use like Squarespace and Showit to a degree? Another thing is to think about the functionality that you need from the platform itself. So a service-based or a coaching website typically needs the home page, the about page, work with me page, and a contact page. So that means in terms of features, you'll probably want a contact form and an online calendar so people can book appointments for you. And you might also want a payment processor so that you can actually take payments for appointments or for your services. So the platform that you choose needs to have that ability, or it needs to be able to integrate with third-party tools. So for example, platforms like Wix and Squarespace, they allow you to take payments directly from that website, and thanks to WordPress, you can install plugins that allow you to take payments. Or you can also integrate with third-party platforms such as Dubsado or Honeybook or Tidycal or Calendly to take payments for appointments. With WordPress, Wix, and Squarespace, you can even sell services directly on your website. With Showit, on the other hand, you'll need to rely directly on third-party platform integrations like Honeybook, Dubsado, Tidycal, Calendly, what have you, or platforms like Thrivecart or Kartra to sell your coaching packages or to take payments for your courses, or if you sell any type of digital product. So that is something to keep in mind. Now, the next thing I want you to keep in mind is when you go to choose your website platform, do take advantage of that free trial. Sign up for it and really make use of it. Don't sign up for it and then I'll get to it later. Actually sign up for it. Try creating a page that you have in mind. Try adding a few blocks. Try changing the settings. tweak the colors, change the fonts, see if you can embed an email sign-up form from a platform like MailerLite or Flowdesk or something like that. Explore the features that they offer and see how comfortable you are using it. Now, like I said, keep in mind that some of them will require you to integrate other tools, so do see how easy it is to add things to it. Some of them might have a direct integration with certain tools. For example, Squarespace has a direct integration with ConvertKit that is relatively easy to set up if you sell digital products. MailerLite has an integration to where you can connect Squarespace newsletter forms directly to MailerLite and sync them. Flowdesk offers a direct integration with Squarespace that makes it easy to sync your customers from Squarespace to Flowdesk. So explore those options and see if it's easy. And if you're already using some of these tools, see if it's easy to integrate your platform or the platform you're thinking about using with the tools that you're already using. Now, like I said, Showit doesn't have built-in appointment scheduling, so you will need something like TidyCal, Acuity, Calendly for that. Wix and Showit don't have ability to host courses, so if you plan to sell courses one day in the future, you will need to find a platform that allows you to host courses. Wix, Showit, and WordPress don't have built-in email marketing campaigns, so you will need a third-party platform for that. So again, those are some of the things to keep in mind and to explore and see how easy the integration is with those platforms to make your life easier down the line. Now, having said all that, my advice is to use a separate tool for a specific purpose anyway. Yes, you will end up paying more, but you'll have access to more advanced features. For example, while Squarespace has email marketing features, they are very basic in nature. So when you're just getting started, this is perfectly fine. But as you grow and as your email list starts to grow, you'll probably want to invest in a more advanced, more robust tool. And that is just something to keep in mind as you think about these platforms and features that you're going to need. Another reason why I recommend using a separate platform for a specific purpose, for example, email marketing or scheduling or hosting your courses. All of these platforms, they have a very good uptime availability. However, tech is unpredictable and sometimes your website inevitably goes down. This can happen whether you use WordPress, whether you use Showit, whether you use Wix, whether you use Squarespace. No matter which platform you use, eventually you are going to run into an issue where your website will go down. And if all of it is on your website platform, that includes Squarespace, that includes Wix, that includes WordPress, which is notorious for being able to handle all under one roof thanks to these plugins. If your website is down, then your email marketing is down, your scheduling is down, your shop is down, your courses are down. Keep that in mind and know that just because a website platform does offer these features, that does not mean that it's the best choice. And if it goes down, you still have a way to enroll people in your courses, to schedule appointments, to send an email to your list. So that is why I typically recommend having a separate platform for each of those little functionalities anyway. Now, other tools you might want to consider to go with your website platform are an email marketing platform, a sales funnel builder, a course hosting platform, an appointment scheduler, and a checkout cart. Now, you don't need all of these to start, but these are the tools that you will eventually have to integrate as you grow and scale your business. And at most, as a beginning set, I would look into an email marketing platform and an appointment scheduler. So those are the tools that would be at the top of the priority. The sales funnel builder, the course hosting, the checkout, all of that can come later unless you already have a digital product business or you run a high ticket group program or something like that. But these are the tools that you'll want to consider later on. Now, my recommendation based on the type of business that you have. So if you need a high level of customization and advanced features and you have a developer or somebody who can maintain the website for you, I would recommend you go with WordPress. If you're a service-based business or a coach and you want something that is easy to use and manage, then I recommend Squarespace. If you're a creative business such as photography, interior design, illustrator, or if you're a service provider who wants the absolute freedom to design your website the way you want, then I recommend Showit. And if you're a service provider who wants an all-in-one platform but doesn't mind the steeper learning curve to build your website, then I would recommend Wix. Now, choosing the right platform is about clarity, not about trends and opinions. So don't let that influence your decision, because just because your friend is using Squarespace, that does not mean that Squarespace will be the right choice for you. If your friend is using Showit, that does not mean that Showit will be the right fit for you. In other words, you need to choose the platform based on your own unique needs and your own set of abilities and time and budget constraints. Now, if you decided that Squarespace is the right fit for you and you want a website that's already set up to support your goals, then my Squarespace templates give you a solid strategic starting point without starting from scratch. You can explore the templates linked below and choose the one that fits your business best. Now, that's it for today's video, and I will see you in the next one.